Time once again for the Kaufman Corner podcast. David Lesky, Soren Petro with you as we talk some Royals baseball here on a Sunday. Yeah, they got a win, but it was the only win on the road trip. Are we back to the doom and gloom? How damaging was this 1-5 road trip? Is everybody ready to just pack it in now at this point? Stephen Kolek bounces back just in time. Any thoughts on the lineup now? Do we believe Vinnie's going to get hot still? Salvy homered a couple times this week. Is he turning the corner? Jack Caglione didn't play against the righty today. Why? Are the Royals missing Zach Bove? Royals ninth inning ERA. That's a tidy 5.74. It's not good. Bailey Falter to the rescue or to the demise in the bullpen. We'll talk about that. What would it take for the Royals to actually be sellers at this point? We're talking about it right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here on a Sunday. Remember, if you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. We stream live Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Already got a number of people lined up in the chat room wanting to comment about your Kansas City Royals. How about it? 1-5 on this road trip. We were talking about, 4-2 be great. We'll settle for 3-3 and just kick the can down the road, and they don't even come close. Doom and gloom has returned to many a Royals fan. How damaging is this 1-5 road trip?
I mean, it's not great. You know, it's so interesting how different it is a week later. I mean, we talked on Monday because we pushed today last week, and they were coming off an 8-5 13-game stretch. They were 2 games under 500, right? 3 games. I can't remember what they were now. They
were 2. They were 1.5 back and 2 under.
1.5 back, another 5.5 back in the Central. The good news for the Royals is that the American League still stinks. So they are not buried. The problem, at some point, you are who you are. And they're 6 games under 500. Is that right? Are they 2026? 2027?
I will look.
I should know that. They're 20-27. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's not what you want. There's still time. And I still think that I still think there's a talented team here, and I still think there's a team that can go on an extended run. But where I have a lot of concerns, obviously, you don't go 20-27 without concerns. But I mean, not weirdly, but maybe more than any concern is they're terrible away from Kauffman Stadium. I mean, it is. They're just brutal. They're 7-17, and that's with a 3-game sweep, which you can't take away, obviously. But against all non-Mariners teams, what a weird team to have dominated. But they're 4-17 outside of a random sweep on the road. Like, why? Why can they not? I mean, they've hit a little bit better on the road than they had before, but it's not a lot better. You got to be able to. You don't have to go. You don't have to play 600 ball on the road, but they kind of do now the rest of the season if they want to have a chance. And it's hard to imagine this team leaving Kauffman Stadium and having a bunch of 4-2 road trips, which they did it once, but I don't. It's hard to see it.
It's crushing from a fan standpoint. It's got to be debilitating when it comes to their psyche about believing in themselves to now be 5.5 out. I mean, you've dropped 4 games in the standings. You were right there. You were right in the mix. Now you're back at the bottom. I've stated before, I think like at some point you got to put 4 and 5 behind you. You can't keep needing to win every night to keep 4 and 5 off your ass. And now, and you certainly can't be sitting 5th, which is where they are because of Alphabet. And I know they're tied with the Tigers, and that's the team that you think they're going to have to beat. But at some point, the Tigers are who we think they are, and the Tigers are who their record says they are. And at some point, the Guardians are who they say they are, even though we continue to be like, I don't know how they're doing this. How do they do it every single time? And so, yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, I think it's a killer for the fans, right? You want to invest. You want to get involved. You're in the midst of a week where the NFL grabs the headlines again by putting their schedule out. And your Royals fans are thinking about where they're going to travel for Chiefs games. And, do I want to go to St. Joe? And, you've got real competition for the entertainment dollar, and you just crap in your hat. I mean, yes, I think it's not only is it bad to have it happen, it's about as bad a time to have it happen as they can have.
Yeah, I agree with that. Where I disagree a little bit, this week in particular, yes.
How dare you?
I'm sorry. Hey, I forgot. Can you put your ring up so I can kiss that real quick? Just right on the screen.
I actually don't have it on today.
Well, then forget it. I'm done. No, I mean, I agree with you this week in particular. I mean, you'd always rather, if you're going to have struggle, like if you tell me, okay, you're going to have 187 days of baseball and there's going to be 2 bad stretches, I'd rather have them early. The problem is, how can you say there's only, like, you're telling me they're done having bad stretches now for the entire season? I don't buy that. I just don't. Right. So on the plus side, there's 115 games left, which we've seen teams start worse than this and finish better. And it's funny because the response is always going to be, well, but those teams were talented. I guarantee the Nationals are the example everybody uses. They're the outlier. But when the Nationals were 19-31, nobody saw that coming. Yeah. So if you're going to do it, it's not going to be seen coming. It's just hard to see coming because this is a team that they on some nights you look at them and you go, I can see how they could win 90 games. But on most nights you look at them and you go, I can see how they will lose 90 games. And it's just, it's a team that should be better than they are, but they're just not. And again, at some point you've played enough games that how do you look at them and say, I think this team, I can see a path to them winning. I think they can. I just can't see a team. I just can't see it. It's hard to see right now, which is always the truth, because again, when a team is struggling, you can't see how they can possibly win. You just can't. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you at this point cannot predict them contending outside of the fact that what is the third wild card right now? The third wild card, not that the playoffs matter at this point, but the Texas Rangers right now are currently in the third wild card at 22-24. The Mariners are 22-25. They're still playing, so I don't think the game has ended yet.
They were down 4-0 last I looked.
They scored a couple, regardless. I mean, right now,
well, to your point, the Royals are 2.5 back, but there are 5. I mean, they're tied with the Tigers, and then there's 4 teams between them plus the Rangers. So that's 5 teams, 6 teams you've got to get clear of. So it's not just the games back; it's the quantity.
Which I don't care about so much with 115 to go. But to your point, yes, and it's a clogged bottom of the American League, which. If you want to look at it positively, other teams that were supposed to be good are not good either. The Tigers are the same record as the Royals. Now they're doing a lot of their problem is injuries, which the Royals have. I will get to this. I think the injuries have been a little underrated for the Royals, not like the Tigers have. But like the Blue Jays are 4 games under. The Orioles were supposed to be pretty good. They're 5 games under. The Mariners are. If they end up losing, they'll be 4 games under. And, you're talking about they're down 8-3 in the bottom of the 9th. So I think we can call that a loss probably. Yeah. The 2 teams in the ALCS are 4 games under 500 each. It's comforting in some ways, but it doesn't ultimately, like, win some games, you know? And now what they have to do is they've got to come home. They got a 9-game homestand. They need to win every series. It's hard. I mean, yes, you expect to go, they need to go 6-3 or 7-2 to have any chance moving forward.
I think let's talk about the injuries. Like, is it possible that we're not making enough of it? Cole Reagan's left a game and is now out of the lineup. Who else in the rotation missed? Noah Cameron missed a start.
Noah Cameron missed one. Nobody else has missed yet.
Okay, and that's it. But then they've lost Carlos Estevez. The one game he did pitch, he ruined. They've now lost Matt Strom.
Yep.
But as far as the offense goes, Jonathan India is the only guy they've lost. But that is you're starting what they had planned on being their starting second baseman, your closer, one of your two setup guys, or your top 8th inning guy with Lucas Ursek being your fireman type guy. But it's two of your top 3 bullpen pieces, your ace starting pitcher, and one start from your number 5. Are we not giving enough credit to what it is they've had to do without? Because Reagan's has really missed in reality a couple of starts. I mean, he got 2 outs in one of them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I struggle with that because you don't want to lean on injuries as a crutch, but also there is a reality that guys who you were anticipating to be good are not even, it's not even that they're bad. They're not even playing, which that's tough. And we've talked quite a bit about the bullpen, about Carlos Estevez and how everything kind of stems from him. And we've seen the bullpen stabilize when Lucas Ursek stabilized it because they stabilized the 9th inning. I mean, that if you go back, we can talk about the John Pork card or whatever his name is, but the reality is like that also coincided with Lucas Ursek locking down the 9th, and then Daniel Lynch growing in his role, and Matt Strom pitching well into the last couple of games when he was clearly hurt. And I think that stabilized a little bit, but that bullpen took a long time to figure things out without that core piece in the middle or at the end, I guess. But I think everything stemmed around that closer role. And so I think that was a problem. And what's frustrating about that too, is there were games that last year's team would have won. There were probably, 3 to 5 games that last year's team would have won early. And if they had done that, then you'd have a cushion for when you're struggling, but they didn't. And so there, it doesn't matter. My grandma had wheels, she'd be a bust, but I do think that was a big deal. I don't know that losing Reagan's has actually been that problematic for them but partially because he wasn't pitching well.
Oh, that is a good point because he hasn't been an ace. So when
generally,
we talk about losing,
except for like 3 starts,
Michael Wacha's been the ace of the staff, and they haven't lost Michael Wacha. So that is a good point. But I do think the bullpen part is significant because the bullpen bumps everybody up, which means you get weaker everywhere, right? And we'll talk about the bullpen a little bit more later, but I do think that is a part of where it has affected them. And I do think the India piece, I mean, we also don't think India is that big a loss because he wasn't really playing that well and seemed to be kind of hurt when it started. But if you got Jonathan India, the feeling was that they gave him $8 million to be the guy he was 2 years before with the Reds. And that, okay, he had a down year, but now he should have a good year. So you're planning on good year Jonathan India, and that's not what you got. And so I do think the injuries are a bigger part of the equation than we want to admit, than certainly the fans want to admit, than certainly you want to be true. I don't know that Estevez is ever going to be back. I kind of doubt he ever throws another pitch for the Royals. Matt Strom, I think, will be back, but he's been on the IL 3 times for the same injury, including, major surgery at one point for it early in his career. So,
but he's also always come back, to be fair, and pitched well when he comes back. So
other than the major surgery, I mean, which put him out for
right. That was a long. That you're talking about the one back 27.
That was back. I mean, it's the same. That was the knee he hurt here with the Royals.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was traded. So I mean, look, I do like they're going to have to start playing better baseball, and somebody's going to have to step up to make that work. and so we'll get into the bullpen and maybe some ways where they are. Let's talk about Stephen Kolek here real quick. I mean, how important was it for him to have this kind of performance? Number one, he had his first game after 5 starts last year, 1 start this year, all quality starts. He has first bad start. Now he bounces back with one of his best starts. How vitally important was that for him to stop the bleeding for this team and for him mentally to continue to believe, nope, I just had a bad day, I'm really good?
I think that's big. It's funny. What did he get? 3 ground balls in the first inning or 2 ground balls in the first, whatever it was. And I texted somebody. I was like, okay, he's fine. This is Stephen Kolek that we saw. And we've talked about Kolek quite a bit. And like, he's not a number 1. He's not a number 2. He's not a number 3. Probably he's a 4 or 5 starter, which is fine. You need those guys. But as I've said before, because he gets weak contact, he gets those ground balls, and he doesn't throw out of the zone. He throws strikes. It lends itself to having games like he had today. And I think he's more likely to have more games like this today than the guy like, say, Noah Cameron would, for example, because of all those things. So that was really big. It's funny. It's interesting because I do think that there's a bit of a competition between Cameron and Kolek, because Cole Reagans, he threw a bullpen today, I believe, off a mound, 30 pitches. They said he felt good. Now they've said Carlos Estevez felt good and went on a rehab assignment, and he was gone in 8 pitches or whatever. But it's, I think that there is a legitimate battle now for who's going to be in that rotation in however many days before Cole Reagans gets back. If he comes back in the minimum 15 days, I think this might be the last start for Kolek before that decision. I actually don't. I can't look at the math.
The last start for Noah Cameron coming.
Or is it? Yeah, right. Well, before Reagans comes back, is that because when he comes back, he's going to take the roster spot of presumably Kolek or Cameron, and so I think that for the Royals to have a nice little competition for that last spot, it helps. It's all a help, and I loved the way Kolek worked today. I mean, he got through 6 1/3 on 82 pitches, I think it was. I thought he looked really sharp most of the day. I've mentioned this before, but I love that StatCast has now put usage on pitches through time of the order. And I find it fascinating how pitchers adjust as they go through the game. And like today, Kolek, 42% four seamers the first time, 30% the second time, with his sinker 19% the first 2 times. The third time through 11% four seamers, 42% sinkers. I mean, that's a guy, he knows how to pitch. And that doesn't always, the stuff isn't as good as Cole Reagans, as even Michael Wacha or Seth Lugo's stuff has regressed a little bit, but as those guys. But, I think it's interesting that the way his mind works as a pitcher too, which I think is really, really helpful. And I think it also helps that he's a young veteran, because he's not thrown that many innings, but he's 29 years old. So
he's
had
an old rookie.
Or an old young guy. He's a young veteran or an old young guy. Either way, but either way, he's got kind of the wisdom of age without the mileage on his arm, which kind of the allure of Seth Lugo, and why you hope that contract extension would look good. It hasn't been great since it's been signed, but overall, if you include last season, but I do think that's useful for a guy who really knows how to pitch, because if you don't have great stuff, you have to know how to pitch, because if you don't, you're going to get blown up.
All right, we're going to dive into the lineup. Is there anything, it seems like we're talking about this all the time, anything you want to try now? Where do we sit on Vinnie and Salvador Perez? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. If you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, about that batting order, the Randy called batting Vinnie and Salvy 3 and 4 indefensible. I would just offer up, if not them, and then who would be my answer, because I don't see the great answer there. He also, Randy threw on there about Jack Caglione not being in the lineup. We can just kind of dump all this out on the table together. We've got it as like 4 different topics on here, but I think they all mesh together here. On Caglione, I'm assuming he's hurt, would be, or not 100% health, like maybe not hurt, but like not 100% in some way, shape, or form. But you had a different theory.
Well, I'll go back to the same thing I've said a million times. And look, I will start this off. I am probably the low man on Jack Caglione in the entire Royals universe. I have been, like, ever since, I'm watching him last year, and when it's hard to see. I just don't. I'm not saying he's insanely talented, and it would not surprise me if he has a Jordan Walker-like renaissance at some point. We just saw Jordan Walker this weekend. Jordan Walker was lost. And Caglione is certainly not lost. 106 weighted runs created plus, solid. But the Royals told everybody, I will say this again, the Royals told everybody who would listen that he struggled mentally last year. You don't offer that up if you're not really worried about that. Like that's not something an organization says about their young stud rookie, that he struggled mentally with the game. And they wrote, Annie Rogers wrote an article about it. They talked about it at press conferences and all this. I wonder a little bit if they said, look, he had a really good day on Saturday. Let's let him sit with that for a couple of days. This guy needs some positive reinforcement, which I hate. I hate that he needs that because that you want a guy who, if he can hit, you want a guy who's in there 150 games a year. I think that people expect 162 from everybody, and that's unrealistic. But, that concerns me. Now, the one other thing I will say about Caglione, he has a 106 weighted runs created plus, which is 6% above league average. It's very solid. You can't complain about it. He has that while being protected from lefties. I know
he's not hitting lefties. Like his career numbers, you look at, and he looks about the same. He's actually got a little more slug against lefties and less on base. But this year, he's starting to look like what left-handers do, and that is he is not hitting well against left-handers. And so, I understand completely why you wouldn't put him into the lineup. It makes perfect sense. By the way, I think David,
am I back?
Well, you there you are. Now you are.
Okay. I if I can bash a certain cable company that starts with an S, we've had issues.
Yeah, I would encourage you to. I used to have issues, and I went.
Yes, we have a call. We have a visit tomorrow. I will say that again, if you're slightly above league average while being protected, you don't deserve to play every day. Sorry, I don't. Now, if the Royals say, hey, we are out of the race, we're done, we are completely finished against everybody, Caglione needs to be in there against every single pitcher. He needs to play against everybody. But if they're still trying to win, and they should be, by the way, there's literally no reason to give up on this season right now, 2.5 out of a wild card with 115 games to play. You try to win, and he does not give you the best chance to win against lefties. Now, he sat against a righty today, and they gave some cockamamie excuse of reverse splits, which yes, he has them. It's Andre Palante has reverse splits, whatever. I hate that excuse. I do. It feels like
I don't. I mean, let's I don't think I think it has to be looked at. I mean, if you're
I
going to
agree.
use the
It's
data,
just
you
not,
use the data. You don't just use the ones that you want to be true. You use all.
but it's also not like drastic splits either. Let me pull it up. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but if you
'Cause they get a
go,
lot more into just righty lefty. I mean, they get into swing plane and
they
you know,
absolutely do. Absolutely. And I mean, it's 100-point OPS difference, but I don't know. I think that, most of it came, if I remember correctly, in one season. This last year, gave up a 762 OPS to lefties. This year, it's 722, compared to 774 and 673 this year. So I wonder a little bit, and I don't love this gamesmanship either, but I wonder a little bit if it was, hey, he's not available today, and if we tell the Cardinals that, it gives them a little bit of an advantage for a guy off the bench. So why tell him? But also just say he's not playing. I mean, I know Quatrero was asked about it, but I have to assume there was a reason he was unavailable today. Because if you're watching the game, he never looked like he was ready to go in there. He was hanging on the rail of the dugout with the pitchers. Like, that was not a guy who looked like, oh, I'm ready to get in whenever I get a chance. That looked like he's off all day, regardless. And maybe was it Friday he slid into the wall. Maybe he felt something a little bit. I don't know. Could be. Was it yesterday or Friday?
I think we know more when we see Boston. I mean, I think
Yeah.
if he stays out, then he was hurt. Like, we get our answer.
Yeah.
If he's back in, then reverse splits and or mental day, what have you, I think is all up there. Do we still believe Vinnie Pasquantino is going to get hot?
Well, so here's my problem with Vinnie is, at some point. Now, first of all, I will say, I'm playing a random game. I picked today that he hit, but since April 22nd, which is about half the season, 273, 352, 455. That's fine. Now he's struggling with runners in scoring position still. But here's my problem with Vinnie and the lineup in general is, if you're going to play platoons, I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. You got to platoon Vinnie. I mean, we talked about it on the show on Thursday. Vinnie Pasquantino against lefties coming into today. And I don't know if he faced a lefty today. I can't remember. But coming into today, Vinnie Pasquantino against lefties was hitting 120, 170, 160 with a -12 weighted runs created plus. -12. That is 112% below league average. So if you're going to do it, you got to do it. And I understand to some extent giving somebody like Vinnie or Salvy a little more rope because they're veterans. We've seen them have the season that they've had in the past. Vinnie 32 homers, 100 whatever RBIs last year. Salvy's been 30 and 100 a couple times. Like, he's Salvy. I totally understand. Hey, we're going to give you more time than we're going to give a guy who we've never seen do it. But it's 47 games now. At some point, you got to say, and they've moved Vinnie down against lefties. He's hit 6 the last 2 games they faced a lefty. I would take him out of the lineup entirely.
I don't mind giving him a day off, but I don't think Vinnie Pasquantino is your candidate for a straight platoon. I mean, I think, I'm looking at his career. He's been around long enough that you can believe in his career.
But it's also gone down every single year. If you look at the splits,
I did not look at that. Has it really?
Yeah. If you look at the splits, so I'll use weighted runs created plus just because it's a nice, tidy, easy number. -12 this year against lefties. Awful, obviously. 63 last year. 81 the year before. 96 the year before. 148 his rookie year. So it's a steady decline to the point of completely unusable. And what's interesting about it is that decline has come with an increase in the home run power, which I think is something that maybe there's a correlation there that, hey, this guy stopped. He's clearly transitioned from, I'm going to hit 330, which is what he looked like. Not the 330, but in 2022, when he came up, he looked like a guy who was going to be Freddie Freeman-ish. I mean, he compared very favorably to Freddie Freeman, and he's sold out for power, which worked last year. It's a different hitter, but I would be very surprised to find out there's not a correlation between his struggles against lefties and that, because he's become a power hitter and gone for that much more, and it's really hurt him against lefties, I think. And it's not just the numbers. Like coming into today, 13% walk rate against righties, 15% strikeout rate against lefties, 4% walk rate and 30% strikeout rate. Like this is not well, he's hitting into some bad luck. No, it's bad. Like really bad. And that's actually not true. He was actually very similar to Freddie Freeman in his first year, his rookie year in the big leagues, which has very little sample.
Although you're just for those that are not with us watching, I put up the comment. John said only similarity he has to Freddie Freeman is they both wear blue hats,
which that's true now. True today. It was not when Vinnie came up. There was a lot of similarity there.
Nobody. I don't think anybody. I don't think you put Freddie Freeman and the game's best name at it, but there was a reason to be like that's what we're hoping for, right? That's what he's aspiring to. That's the kind of hitter he was in the minor leagues. He would take walks. He could hit for a high average, and he had power, but he wasn't a power hitter. And it does feel a little bit like he was getting back. He was wanting to be more of a power hitter, and maybe that's what's altered his swing. I mean,
yeah.
I think there's a lot of it. If they could, it felt like once they started to get going that, okay, now that they're going, it'll take some of the, pressure off the balloon. And now maybe they can just go play. I do believe that Vinnie will get going. I am fine with dropping him down. I'm fine with giving him a day up, more days off than you normally would. But I believe that he will get going. And his career arc is that really in May, he starts to take off, and then he's good in June and July, and then he's great in August and September. And that's my hope for him. The Salvador Perez has a couple of home runs. How confident are we that is this him turning the corner, or is this just like he's all or nothing? And so, yes, he's still going to hit 20 home runs, but it's going to be with a 197, 245, a slash line that really puts you where you should definitely not be DHing.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we'll go back to the injuries real quick. Salvy was playing with a hurt hip, which why? Put him on the IL. I'll never, we could talk about that probably. You and I could just sigh about that for an hour. I feel like, and we can do that another day. He's been back for 6 games now since he started catching again at the start of this road trip. He had a solid road trip. 292 with a 542 slugging percentage in 6 games. It's 6 games, couple home runs. But here's the problem. The bat speed is still not there. And he had one swing today. I want to say it was like 77 miles per hour, which is good, solid. Like his single, he went 2 for 2. His single was 64.4 miles per hour swing. And that's not the only thing, obviously, but I'm watching that closely because that's what happens when guys age. They can't swing as hard. His home run was a 68 mile per hour swing. I mean, I hate it when you say guys run into home runs, but he kind of ran into that home run because he's still super strong. Like he's still this huge hulking guy who, when he makes good contact, the ball is going to go far, but it's just, he's not lifting it enough and he's not swinging hard enough. And I can't believe that he is there until he starts actually swinging like he had in the past. And I haven't seen it yet. So I just can't buy it. I want him to be great. Like I want him to hit what 40, is he 310 now? So 40 more home runs. I think 40 more home runs gets him into the Hall of Fame. Whether people agree with it or not, 350 for a catcher probably does. I want him to do it. It's like the whole team. I want to believe it. It's hard to see. It's hard to see right now. And I do, again, I'll go back to it. I don't have a problem with giving veterans extra rope because they've proven it, but at some point you've got to stop. And I think we're at that point.
What's your line? What's the date? Is this it? Is it the 40 game mark? Is it the June 1 mark? What I mean,
if they anytime now, I think that I think you could make an argument, hey, give him another week because he had a good week, and Vinny's been generally hitting overall better. People don't believe it, but the numbers are what they are. So, I didn't make up the 273, 352, 455. I didn't, it's not fake. It's what the numbers are. If you want to give him the homestand, fine. But I think you got to start making some moves. The problem they run into is, what do you do? And I think that, and I still think the answer is as much as they don't want to do it. I think it's move Garcia back to the middle, and you figure it out at the top. I think Lane Thomas against lefties at the top, he gets on base. The numbers are where they are. We can't argue with a 400 on base percentage. That's what they are against a lefty. Put him at the top. I think put Garcia 3 or 4. And I have no problem with Isaac Collins at the top against righties. He gets on base. They both get on base against those guys. And that to me makes sense. And you get Garcia in the middle. You move everybody down a little bit. I'll go back to last year. The offense started going when it was a little bit after this, but when they split up Vinnie and Salvy and moved Salvy down to 5 and put Garcia at 4, that's when they started going. There were other factors. That's not the only thing that happened, but I do think that would help the offense to click more.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to start looking at something. 2 runs today. They lost a couple of games in Chicago with 5. 5 is good. It's just like if 5 is the high watermark all the time, then you're really not clicking off that.
Have they scored 6 since Hawaiian Bros reneged? I don't think they have.
Yeah, the Hawaiian brothers are the ones that did it. Is that what you're telling me? That's what the problem is.
I don't want to point fingers, but yes, absolutely 100%.
Okay.
Because that was after. Okay, they scored 6 on May 4th. They won 6-2. They have not scored 6 runs since. They've scored 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and they have not gotten to 6. So look, direct your complaints to Hawaiian Bros. That's what I say.
Yeah, I'm all for it. All right, we want to get into Zach Bove. Are the Royals missing him? How bad they've been in the 9th inning. Talk about Bailey Falter going to get a chance in the bullpen, maybe even a little bit of minor league talk. We'll do it right now here after you hear from our friends at Greenlight.
Greenlight Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Greenlight difference. Visit us today.
Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. All right, Zach Bove left to be the White Sox pitching coach. Their pitching numbers overall are pretty much the same as they were last year. The White Sox are better because they're hitting the baseball. But, there was no significant changes on the pitching staff. So I'm not trying to run down what Zach Bove has done, but we're not seeing as much success out of the Royals. And how much of that do you think they're missing Zach Bove?
We don't know, obviously, right? I mean, it's impossible to say, oh, he's accounted for 22 of the runs they've allowed. I don't know. But what I've seen this year is, other than Michael Wacha and Daniel Lynch, which those are 2 big successes right now this season, everybody seems to have regressed, doesn't it? I mean, doesn't it feel like the control has been worse? The pitch mix has been worse. It seems like there's a lot of guys really struggling right now. And I do think that I need to read up more about this, but apparently I didn't know this would be the case. But the strike zone is actually a little bit smaller with the automated system. And maybe it's just that the Royal staff is not set up for a smaller strike zone because they are so bad. They don't have power. so they don't come after guys, and so they're living on the edges, and so they hit the edges and they get a called strike, but then the batter taps his helmet and it's now a ball, and maybe it's as simple as that, but there does seem to be something missing, and I don't know if it's the lack of Bove or if Sweeney and McFerrin just haven't quite figured out how to make this team go. You might remember 2023, Sweeney and Bove, that pitching staff was bad. They didn't start working their magic until I guess at some point in 23 with Reagans and MacArthur both really took off under them. I don't know.
I do think the ABS is an interesting one because they don't have power pitchers. They have finesse guys that pitch and, paint the corners and maybe creep a little more and a little more and a little more. And now they're not able to get those pitches and they've got to come in. You've got to genuinely have stuff to be able to get people. That would speak to their bullpen as well. So I think it's probably a little bit of all of the above. You have to miss. You lost a good guy. You lost his thoughts. Maybe new thoughts are coming in, different thoughts in different places that will eventually add up to everything that Zach Bove gave them. But I think, this is it. Like they have accomplished some things, and people are robbing their organization. I mean, I don't think the Rays are as good as they used to be because everybody's robbed all their good guys. I mean, so I think it's okay to be like, they miss him. ABS is hurting us. The question is going to be, can you adjust to it? Like, I don't think there's a villain in this, like, well, the Royals should have known and they should have traded away all their pitchers and got all new pitchers. Well, that's not a possibility.
Why not? Why not?
Well, and the guy who ought to be kicking ass is Cole Reagans. And even when he hasn't been hurt, he's been completely hot and cold.
Yeah.
And so Chris Bubich with the deception would seemingly be a guy that would succeed. And he's not been as good. So I don't know.
It's the lack of strike throwing that is so, for lack of a better term, striking to me, because I'm looking at Bubich 4.65 walks per 9. Like that is not.
Well, let me add another equation to this. Carter Jensen in for Freddie Fermin. Let's be clear. I don't think Seth Lugo did anything to disguise his frustration with Carter Jensen after that day game.
He certainly did not.
He made it clear. Carter should have. He all but said Carter should have challenged a couple of those. I mean, good Lord. Like,
no, that was Diaz, wasn't it?
No, it was Carter. He was talking about Carter Jensen.
Was that a different day that Diaz? Which
it might have been a week and a half ago. I don't remember when it was, but I know it was.
Oh, you're right. That was a different game. There was a game.
We were playing the post game on the radio show, and Curtis and I, we played it. Curtis and I just looked at each other like, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
There's just not I don't know that there's any other way you could be like, well, come on, kid. Like, help me out here.
Okay. Now I know exactly what you're talking about. And he talked about maybe I'll start challenging. So I'm really curious to see, does he pitch tomorrow? Is he next up? I don't even know yet.
Oh, look.
He does pitch tomorrow. I'll be curious if he challenges tomorrow. But I agree to some, yes, Carter Jensen, but Jensen, the one thing he's done well behind the plate is actually frame. He's caught runners actually too. Terrible blocker. He's frame pitches well. So I think it's a fair question to ask, and they trust Fermin a whole lot more, but also he's a terrible blocker. Are they not willing to throw pitches in the dirt? And are they taking away an entire portion of where they would throw because they don't trust him to block that pitch? I don't know. I do think that plays a role too. And there's been a lot more change than in talking right now than I even had thought about before. The ABS comes up, the pitching coach, the catchers. Salvy hasn't caught much in the last. He caught a bunch to start the year, but how many games has he caught in the last month? It's only a handful up until this past week. So, yeah, I think that's a fair question too.
I think, I think there's a lot going on there, a lot more than we realize. A lot more changes. Yeah, we talk about there's more injuries than we really give credit to, just because, he wasn't doing that well anyway. So what does it matter that Indy is out? I think there's more here too, really. So Zach Bove goes, but Brian Sweeney's still there and he's the man. And I think he is. But Brian Sweeney's maybe being pulled in more directions because now he's having to do more things because they had really settled into a nice, comfortable, division of labor with Bove. And now maybe somebody's different, somebody's better at different things and he's having to fill in. So, I mean, it does in a way point towards perhaps the second half being a lot better. They've always said you can't win a pennant in April, but you can lose it. And that's the hope, is that they haven't lost their playoff chances. Only being 2.5 out of the wild card, to your point, even with all the teams that are in front of them, they have not yet lost their playoff chances, not in this year's American League. So maybe if they settle in with Carter Jensen, if they figure out how to work better with him, if they figure out, the coaching and whatever it is that's bothered, then maybe they are primed for a big run in the second half. Somebody's going to have to, I think either the platoon's going to have to really work at second base, and they're going to have to start getting production there. And that spot in the lineup needs to hit like 6. If you're going to keep hitting Salvy 4, it really needs it. Because who else do you think really has the ability to be that? I think the Starling Marte is going to just give you survival at bats, right? So the only place where you feel like we've got some upside is those guys, right? Because Nick Lofton, and based upon the number of plate appearances they've had at the big leagues, they could have could have better days ahead. And so if that would start to click, okay, then now you start to, and it goes without saying that if Salvy and Vinnie are going to bat 3-4, they have to hit. There's no scenario of the playoffs without those two hitting, without at least one of them raking and the other one at least surviving, or at least both of them really hitting. And then you need to add on that you're going to have to find somebody to bat 6. So I think that's there. But then the bullpen has got to come to life. 5.74, and I did not check this, but I saw just somebody tweeted out the 9th inning bullpen ERAs, and it was basically about Mason Miller and about how the Padres were like 2 runs better than everybody. He's at like 0.5, right? Or the Padres are at 0.5. Mason Miller's even better than that. But so that has to change, because they're just such gut punches when you score in the top half in the extra innings and then you let the run in. That just, you could just see all the wind come out of the Royal sails. It empowers the home team, and they end up losing that game the other night. I mean, they've got to be better in the 9th.
They do. I'm going to do the math real quick. I should have done this before, but what do you think the ERA is when you take away the one game from Carlos Estevez?
Ooh,
that it's striking. Again, I'll use that word.
I mean, so they've had,
which you can't do it. It happened. Let's make that very clear.
Well, it's pretty easy to figure out. I mean, I take four of the runs away from whatever the total is, and now it's been 46 games. There's 46 9th innings. So did he have 4 runs?
They don't play the 9th when they're losing.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll just tell you for the interest of time, 4.11. Can you I only say that
it still sucks.
It's still not good enough. I only say that not to make an excuse, but that's a 1.63 difference from one game that was brutally bad, and the guy hasn't pitched since. And so I think that's important to keep. Like Urseg has been much better in the 9th inning. He had 2 blow-ups, which are gut punches, and you can't, when you're not going to score 8 or 9 runs, once every 8 games. I think the best offenses will give you a big explosion once every 3 times every 3 weeks. Let's say it's not always a week and once a week, but you're going to get some games periodically where you're going to score 9 or 10. The Royals aren't going to do that as often. They're just not. I wish they would. But you can't be blowing games like that. I do think they've figured out the 9th inning a little bit now. Well, not a little, a lot, with Lucas Urseg figuring some things out. He's getting some swing and miss again, which is really nice to see, because that was rough for a while. But yeah, I agreed. The 9th inning has been a problem. I'm looking at the numbers right now. Like Bailey Falter gave up 3 in a 9th inning. I don't think that game probably mattered very much. I wonder. I'd have to look at each game to see how many were actually important 9th innings. But even so, I mean, let's look. This is before today, obviously, when they had a shutout, so it helps every number. But 5.09 ERA in the first and second. Part of the problem is they are coming up down a lot. They are coming to the plate trailing because they've had trouble in the first inning and second inning. And then the starters have settled in 3.13, which is good, 4.11, which is okay, 4.7, which isn't great, 3.33 in the sixth, 4.11 in the seventh. Like none of the innings, the first, second, and ninth are the worst innings. And those are arguably the most important innings.
Yes.
And those are the innings that they are struggling in.
Yeah. We mentioned Bailey Falter. He has been down basically converting. They gave him the whole 30 days. I think they just came up with a mystery injury to allow him to transition into the bullpen. Maybe not. I don't care. But they used the whole 30 days on him. Down at AAA, out of the pen, 13 and a third innings, 14 hits, 4 runs allowed, only 3 walks, 19 strikeouts. Now, this is AAA, but 19 strikeouts and 13 and a third. I don't think that's going to translate. But
No.
if he could be 14 and 13 and a third, I'd be thrilled. Right? But that's a 2.7 ERA, a 1.275 whip. He only gave up 1 home run. Optimistic that Bailey Falter fully leaning into being a reliever. This is my job. I'm embracing it. And supposedly he's got all these things on his phone. Andy Rogers wrote a nice story about it, that all the different ways to get ready and be ready and to maximize his abilities as a reliever. How much weight do we put into the fact that a 29-year-old could be very good? I don't even want to say dominant with a 2.70 ERA. I'd have to go back and look at the game log and see did all three of the 4 runs come in one game. I don't know. But how optimistic should we be that Bailey Falter can step in and do what Matt Strom did or close to it?
I would not bet on that. But I do think that there is value. It's just like there's value in a fifth starter. There is a lot of value in a legitimate middle reliever. I mean, think about how many games are 4-2 in the sixth, and somebody comes in and gives up a 2-run homer, and now it's 6-2, and it feels out of reach. Keep the game 4-2. Keep it. That's what you look at the World Series teams in 14 and 15, and those bullpens were obviously, I mean, they don't compare to any bullpen the Royals have ever had other than those years. But they also were really good in the middle innings of not letting deficits get out of hand. And I think that's really important that if you give Bailey Falter 5th and 6th innings, and he's going to give up some runs. He's not perfect. He's not a great reliever, but I think he can stabilize the middle relief, because I think what he has, and this is, I've been an advocate for this for a long time. I feel like the more different guys you can have, the better. They don't have a lefty who throws a splitter, and Bailey Falter throws a splitter. That's a nice too.
There's
not only lefties in general. You're right. That's a good point. But like it's a different look for opponents to have this lefty who is, I mean, he's just different. I mean, Bailey Falter he's 6'4". He comes at you from the arm angle is not funky, but like it doesn't look particularly comfortable, except for the fact that everything was just like in the middle for him. And he gets comfortable real fast when the pitches are where they are. But if you get a different angle for one inning and he can air it out, I'm at least intrigued. I'll say that. I don't think you're going to get, he's the new setup man with Daniel Lynch for Lucas Erceg. I think Lynch is the guy who stepped into Strom's role, and we saw it today. We'll see it over the next 2 weeks or however long Strom is out.
But again, when that happens, like I said, everybody has to step up. So if when you get to him, he's Matt Strom ability, then you haven't lost anything.
Right. For sure. And I just wouldn't, I don't know. Matt Strom hasn't had a great year. So maybe he is what Matt Strom has been this season. But I do think that there is at least a chance that with in short spurts, that different look than what they have, I think can really help. And it goes back to, we talked about it last week, that Steven Cruz threw a 99, 100. He threw 101 the other day. Luinder Avila throwing upper 90s. Like, they now have some different looks. They've got a guy in Nick Mears who throws a slider that is generally a good slider. He hangs it too much, but when it's good, it's really good. They've got Erceg who does his thing. They've got Lynch who looks this way. They do have some different looks now, which they didn't have before. And I think you go back, again, we're playing the since when game, but I go back to coming into today. And again, they went 2 2/3 innings of scoreless ball. But since the Angels series, the Royals, and they're probably better than this now, they were 2.47 ERA out of the bullpen. I feel like they figured some things out. But again, that was with Strom. So they've got to have somebody to step into that spot, whether it's Bailey Falter or Nick Mears or whoever. But yeah, I think that I think there's reason to be optimistic that Bailey Falter can stabilize some part of the game. I just wouldn't expect it to be the late innings.
By the way, I just was looking at the game logs of Falter down in the minors. Do you know that the Indianapolis team is the Indianapolis Indians?
Yeah.
Like, are they the farm team for the Guardians?
No, are they the Pirates still? Is that
just like
I think they are.
Oh.
I think they're the Pirates. Yeah,
Cleveland,
Pirates.
you're changing
Pirates.
your name. Indy, you're okay.
Yeah,
that strikes me as interesting.
I agree. A little bit odd.
But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his appearances where he went multiple innings. And I think that'll be interesting to see. Is he the up down guy?
Mm-hmm.
And can he fill that role? You know, the role that a Chris Young, a Chris was it Medlin?
Yeah, Medlin.
Those guys back in the last incarnation of the Royals being a contender handled. I think it'll be interesting to see. Maybe
did they really
he
have that guy
role.
last year? I don't think they did, or 2 years ago. I'm trying to think who it would have been, but
I don't think so.
I don't.
But if you get a starter
really
that comes out after 4 1/3 or 5 1/3, and you can just finish off the game because God forbid you be up 8-2 at some point, and he can just take the rest of the way. You know
what is that like? I don't know what that means.
No, or at least take it all the way to the closer. You know, I think that would be a big addition for the team. So, yeah, I mean, I am optimistic that he's going to be able to be something for them, right? That is, I am very optimistic about that. And if you're on the stream with us, I'm well aware that David has frozen, which it may have been absolutely the perfect time. He mentioned having internet problems. We will save the last one. There you are, David.
I'm back. I'm back.
You never know when you're back. You never know when you're back. I assume you could hear me. But we couldn't hear or see you.
I was like, I'm trying to talk. Shut up for a second.
Yeah, but let's save it. I want to save one of the Royal sellers. Or do you want to do it right now?
Okay. No, because I don't know the answer. Honestly,
I don't have the answer yet either. I had some ideas, but I want to wait a week and see where it is. I don't want to do an angry. They're showing right now. I don't want to read those comments.
Can I give you one stat that I wanted to bring up? And
yes,
I forgot about. Coming into today again. I wish that there was an easy way to sort like by right now. There's not. Royals outfield. This is crazy to me. Royals outfield ranks 9th in weighted runs created plus in baseball. They are a top 10 offense in the outfield. That's wild to me. That's not a gotcha. That is, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you got me. Congratulations. Yeah. I'm impressed. Listen, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors, our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Great folks, great KC company. They've been solving parking lot problems in KC for more than 30 years. If you need new concrete work, a parking lot repave, crack filling, seal coating, full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all here in Kansas City. Go to GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Green Light Dispensary, 15 locations in Missouri. More on the way. Your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you heard about them right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. And of course, our great friends at Italian Delight. Our buddy Renee was in the chat room. He's a regular here. His great restaurant, Italian Delight, is right there at 8145 State Ave. They're just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway on State Avenue. You can find them online at ItalianKS.com. The first to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. Don't sleep on the strombolis, calzones, sausage rolls, hot and cold subs. They've got a wonderful lasagna, classic chicken Alfredo. I love the salads as well. Check them out online at ItalianDelightKS.com. For David Lesky, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.